Hey you guys, it is Sunday. It's March 12th. It's just after 2:30. I'm trying to get onto my live, but before I do that, I really want to get caught up on my Cliff Notes from Friday because I'm afraid if I don't do it before, it'll never get done. And it's just been a series of technical difficulties and all kinds of stuff like that. Fun stuff, right? Everything I say is simply my opinion. It is simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a discussion, hoping to learn something with you as part of the conversation. That's why I love to do my lives. And then I put the kind of boil it down to the essence to put into the Cliff Notes so that it's shorter for people who don't have time to watch a live, which I totally get. The first thing that I want to talk about in this Cliff Notes is just how I think potentially that we are just being played, that this is all just a big psy-ops. I like to say psych ops just because it kind of comes out of my mouth better. It's just a big psy-op operation. Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. Did Jagger know that when he made that videotape of Kylie Rodney on the pier, did he know that her days were numbered? You know, when I first saw that, I thought it was just because he knew that they were breaking up. But then now, knowing everything that we know, makes you wonder. So this last video, I spoke quite a bit about a video live made by a channel called True Crime Time 007. And they are a fantastic channel. I will absolutely give them that. I am still extremely suspicious of how they came out of the blue and have 20,000 subs. It's not that I'm jealous, I'm serious, because I don't think I could handle that anyway. It's a lot of pressure. But in the live from Friday, Annie Ruler and I were kind of discussing back and forth which live was it that she was watching versus what I was watching. So she kind of, hers was called something like Precinct Live Discussion, and it was from like a week prior. And then the one that I was talking about was something, now it has a lock and it says new clue, and it's been edited down from an hour and 17 minutes to an hour and 4 minutes, which I get. I had to edit my video from Friday because I was half asleep and I said a couple of like opposite things of what I meant to say. I took 23 seconds out of my video and it took me all freaking day. So he took 13 minutes out of his video. So the things that I was talking about are probably not in the new 64-minute version. But that's cool, you know. I mean, we all do what we got to do. I still think that the channel is made by somebody who is law enforcement, and possibly they're even put up to it by law enforcement, because if they aren't put up to it by their employer, they would be in deep crap for doing something like that. Please hit that like button and sub, and it doesn't cost you anything to hit the sub button. Some people don't know that. If you subscribe, it's not like a magazine subscription. It's going to cost you money. It just is a nice way to help a true crime content creator that you like. If you like, share, sub, that does wonders for the channel. But really just watching, that does wonders too. So I always like to include that. So I'm trying to find that video that was made a while back. It was a really mysterious, weird video. It looked like it was the criminal defendant with his cell phone and his laptop, and it was like his cell phone was recording his keyboard, but you could almost kind of see his reflection in the black keyboard or in the screen. I mean, it was really weird. And he was kind of whispering, kind of talking low, and I'm curious if that might be something to compare to the 007 channel. The one that I was talking about that was made late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, about going through the floor plan, like I said, now it has a picture of a lock and it says new clue. So it's the 1 hour and 4 minute and 20 some odd second video that's listed with the regular videos. And I'm not trying to go sideways on this content creator. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. My concern is that it's a poser channel and that they're kind of trying to undermine this whole process that we're doing here with the true crime community, as I like to say. Anyway, like that whole thing with the Gabby Petito case, who remembers SF Investigates from the Gabby Petito case? I don't, but I know a lot of people do. So SF Investigates did an interview the other day with CNY Family, and it's curious, isn't it? It's super curious. What is this guy up to? It's so hard to watch him. I can barely watch him, even on Squirrels on Fire, which is one of my favorite channels, and she does such a good job of kind of dissecting it. That's kind of her expertise. So that raised garden bed in the Gabby Petito case, that some people thought that Brian Laundrie was hiding underneath it, and there's a video of some drone footage of his parents standing by the garden bed, and his mother looks like she's reaching to either hand something to Thing coming up out of the side or to take something from Thing, or maybe both. And then the dad, I think, he looks up and gets Roberta's attention, and he points to the drone, and then they both scurry inside the house. They just scamper off. But I really am sort of blending the Kylie Rodney case, the Gabby Petito case, and the Idaho 4 case at this point. And I wonder if there's a connection. They're all in the news currently right now. So they all have my attention. And, you know, I don't think any of them are anywhere close to resolved. I do not believe that Brian Laundrie is unalived. I just don't. So last week there was a situation with some tourists from South Carolina getting abducted in Mexico and unalived. And then the car that tells wrote a letter of apology, like a note for accidentally offing the wrong people, like mistaking tourists for something else. Is just wild. Wild, wild, wild. But we got to stand up to this stuff, you guys. If we don't, it's only getting worse. I mean, seriously, this is good, good evidence of that. And it reminds me when I was a teenager back in 1982, when there was a major financial crisis with the Mexican government and everything went to hell in a handbasket. Is that what's going on now? Was Kylie Rodney some type of like Elliot Ness in the green emerald triangle diabolical place where people just go disappearing? Is what happened in Mexico directly connected to the Kylie Rodney case? I know that sounds crazy, you guys. I know that sounds completely nuts. These are questions that I have. I'm not saying that it is connected. I'm scratching my head. So, what also made me scratch my head was the coroner walking around the house in the Idaho 4 case with little plastic booties on her feet when she's like scrunching through leaves and grass, and she's with a couple other people. And it was just like, you're not wearing plastic booties on the turf, are you? Like, you should have been wearing those inside the house. Like, come on, what are you thinking? So I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, and that link is to a short from the channel, the TCT007 channel. And in the comments of that short, he's only got one short, there's somebody who has the handle of PECKOPAKANKO. What? Really? Kopaka? I am really, really curious what was going on with that guy, you guys. Those were the mistakes that I made on Friday. I just had Kopaka on the brain and I kept putting his name in everywhere when I was meaning to say completely other names. It was just like Kopaka, Kopaka, Kopaka. So I had to edit that out so I wouldn't confuse you guys because, I mean, I knew what I was talking about and you probably did too. If you were watching me live, you were probably shaking your head, wanting to reach through the screen and tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, I know what you're trying to say. Anyway, back to the psych ops. And the case is blending. The red stuff coming out of the outer wall of the 1122 King Road house. And the red stuff coming down the cabinets in the kitchen. You guys have probably all seen those photographs of kind of looking through the outer windows and being able to see that. I just have questions. Like, what was that? Was that really the red stuff? The red stuff that we're not supposed to talk about on YouTube? Anyway, I appreciate my viewers so much, especially Miss Annie Ruler, who is just always at the ready with so many amazing and sharp comments. So, Annie Ruler had watched that precinct live discussion on the TCT 007 channel, and then we thought maybe we were talking about the same live, but it was two different lives. And then I think they both have been edited and then gone over into the regular videos, which is what happened to the video that I made on Friday. So for those of you that don't know that, when you edit a video that's live, obviously it's no longer live, so it does not stay listed in your lives. It goes to the regular ones. So they look lost, but hopefully they'll be found. That timeline, you guys, I'm so suspicious of the timeline of the night of November 13th at the 1122 King Road. I am so suspicious. The 12 hours that were evaporated, the 8 hours from the survivors not calling 911, and then the 4 hours, 4-hour response time by the lead detective, that's nuts. But once you have that 12 hours wiped out of existence, you can't really get an accurate timeline, you guys. That obliterates it. That 12 hours totally toasts the timeline. So I'm wondering if that was super intentional, 100% intentional. Those two survivors, wouldn't they have been terrified and tried to escape the house if they knew that 4 or even 1 of their housemates was deceased, unalived, and they wouldn't know who did it, if the people were still in the house, if the people were coming back? I'm not buying their story at all at this point. Not at all. Neither one of them. I do not think their story is holding water. I do not think it's standing up to the test of time at all. Not at all. But maybe they weren't allowed to leave. Maybe they weren't allowed to leave. When they summoned the people that they summoned, maybe those people said, you can't leave. You can't leave until we have this all under wraps. And whatever happened to the letter from Wazoo to the criminal defendant, whatever happened to that imaginary make-believe letter of emails and meetings and reprimands and firing? You guys, if, they're trying to make this so much more than what it is, trying to make the criminal defendant sound like a sexist rat bastard so that none of us care what happens to him. And yeah, if he did this to these people, of course we don't care what happens to him. We want him to be punished and we want justice for these families. But if he's being set up like some kind of patsy, some kind of scapegoat, then that means that there are people who are getting away with red rum. That's unacceptable. That is 100% unacceptable. So I think that that's all of my notes. Did I get through them? I need to wrap this one up and get onto my live with my people. Yeah, I think that's it. I got it. Awesome. Okay, you guys, I want you to have a fabulous rest of your Sunday, and thank you so much for watching. Always take great care of yourself. Make sure you're drinking your water, eating well, high intake of produce, especially veggies, high protein. Relax, get your sleep, get your sunshine and fresh air every day. Be kind to others. Make sure people are kind to you. Be forgiving of others. And most of all, be forgiving of yourself. So, on that, I'm going to say peace out. Thanks so much for joining me. Sending you light and sending you love. See you on the next one.